guys? This is Jason from JWClassicVW, and we're coming in live, starting a little bit early so that I can get everything set up and rocking and rolling. I'll be coming over on the video here in a second, but first off, let's see if I can get this chat up so that I can see if you guys can see me or not. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Let's get over here, and if you are here and watching, guys, hit me up in the chat. Say hello. Say hello. If you're there, say hello. Let me go ahead and bring us up, guys. What's going on? Can you see me? We got a lot of stuff we're covering today. What's going on, man? What's going on? Stop on into the chat and drop a hello, guys. Drop a hello. What's going on? 8-wheeled assassins. 8 wheels. Does that mean you got 2 Volkswagens? What's going on? What's going on? Let me pop this chat out so I can see it better. All right, guys. I'm going to give it a few minutes for everybody to kind of drop in and get situated. For those that are going to be watching the stream, I'm trying something different today. I'm actually doing this through a different program so I can add more stuff into the live feed, because we're doing a big review today. The big review of 2020, because boy, oh boy, did a lot happen. If you can hear me okay, if the audio is okay, hit me up in the chat and let me know that the audio is good to go. If the audio doesn't sound great, let me know that too. Thanks, Lawrence, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoy the content. You do have 2 Volkswagens. Awesome. There may be a little bit of delay from me responding to the actual chat, guys, because just normal live streaming stuff. So let's see what we got going on here. We've got a few people in here. Let's talk about what we're going to be doing today. Let me go back to the cover screen real quick so you guys can see. All right, got the cover screen back up in there. That's just a few of the videos I did this year. Can you guys still hear the audio? I want to make sure that you can still hear the audio in between me flipping these slides up here and what I'm gonna be showing you guys. So if you can hear the audio still, do me a favor and hit me up in the chat. Let me know that audio, yes or no, yes or no. Audio, yes or no, guys. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. All right. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're doing today. Let me bring you back over to the scene which is me. What's that you say? This is the way? Yeah, because Volkswagens. This is the way. We're going to be covering quite a few videos. Like I was saying in the little preview that I put up on my Facebook group, guys. Let me go do the line real quick. The fuel gauge that I installed. All right, good. You guys can hear me good? All right. Good stuff. We're going to be going over, let's see, I got 23 different videos that I put down on here that I want to kind of go through. So, of course, we're going to be taking questions, too. I don't want this live stream to be super duper long, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Did everybody have a good Christmas and New Year? That's the first thing I want to say. I hope you guys had a good holiday time with your family and friends, and were able to spend some time with those that you love, even if that means your car in your garage. Audio's good. All right, thanks, David. It's here. 2021 is here. 2020 was crazy. It was crazy, but we did get a lot of good Volkswagen work done and content created for you guys, and I wanted to talk about kind of what we did last year and any questions you guys might have, and also kind of a follow-up on some of the installs I did, and maybe some of the things or lessons learned that I had with some of the things, because what you guys don't see is sometimes I do the installs, and then there's like the after the install where I fix issues or problems I ran into, and I like to share that with you guys so that you can know, hey, it's not always as easy as it looks on the YouTube. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Norway. All right, what's going on, guys? So the first video I want to talk about is the actual fuel gauge. Let me see if I had that one down on here. That's the other gauge. The gauge I'm talking about is the pressure gauge, the fuel pressure gauge that I installed for the back side that's connected to the regulator on Goose. If you guys suddenly had the time to work on the bus, that's true. I will say that in 2020 we definitely had more time to work on our vehicles, especially with working from home. A little less commuting. I will say that was the big silver lining for me. Is I'm not a big fan of traffic, so the less commuting was the best part. Was the best part. Not having to drive in traffic. My commute is about an hour both ways to work, and yeah, that was fantastic. Not having to do that anymore. All right, let's go ahead and talk about that install now. If you guys saw the fuel pressure gauge that I installed in the back side in the engine compartment on Goose, it's connected right to the regulator. And part of what I wanted to be able to see is if I had any issues with my fuel pressure regulator, but also to be able to adjust the pressure going to my dual 44 IDFs. And that was important because I do have a fuel, oh shoot, hold on a second, brain skipping. A fuel pump that's electric, that's actually regulated to the 2.5 to 3.5 range, which is important for our Weber carburetor. Actually, for most carburetors, you want to keep that fuel pressure low. Volume's another story, but fuel pressure you want to kind of keep low, or else you can flood your carburetors and send more fuel down into your pistons and wash those out, and that's just not a good deal at all. So, what's going on, man? What's going on? Do me a favor, guys, if you haven't done so already, hit the like and put a comment in the comments, because that helps out with the stream. And we got a lot going on today. I want everybody to kind of know what's going on with the review. So, have a drink of water real quick. So, as I was saying, with fuel pressure, you want to make sure that your fuel pressure is correct. And I've heard that sometimes with the fuel pumps, you can have irregular pressures, and I wanted to make sure I was monitoring that. So adding a fuel pressure gauge was a big add-on for Goose with troubleshooting too. If you're ever having issues with the way your carburetors are running, the first thing you want to check is your fuel pressure. And just being able to look right there, real fast at the backside of my engine, helped out quite a bit with that. And it also let me know and gave me peace of mind that my pressure was right. So that was the very first video we did in 2020 in January. Actually, we had quite a few videos in January, didn't we? We had like 2 or 3. Let me see. Yes, our next one that we did was toe adjustment. And I will say that the toe adjustment helped out a lot, because my toe was so out of whack, and after I'd narrowed my beam, I had to adjust it again. So there was that whole deal. But the first time I did my toe adjustment was with the beam I had, which is a 2-inch narrowed beam. Was the original beam before I narrowed it was a 2-inch narrowed beam, and I had to do a toe adjustment on that to fix my problems, because I had some toe in issues and it was wearing out my tires a little fast. So that was the next video that we did, and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was I had checked a couple different videos on YouTube to try to find somebody that had done toe adjustment, but nobody really had, I guess, done one on a Volkswagen the way that I had wanted to see. I'd found lots of toe adjustments on other vehicles where they'd use like string lines and stuff, and I kind of did use that method originally, but it just seemed a little cumbersome and a little extra when it came to what you really have to do. So I went ahead and did a toe video, and that is also in my videos, guys. You want to check that out. In the description below on this, I'm going to list links to all these videos so that you guys can go back through and hit them really fast, and I have to go searching through my channel to find them. Cool? All right. The next video I want to talk about is painting my wheels. My wheels were a solid color at first. They were the same color as Goose, that polar silver. And I went through and kind of scuffed it up a little bit, and then added some of the, I guess it's more of a tannish color to the wheels. And then I added a thin line of red paint around the outside to kind of offset the wheel a little bit later to match the interior, and I thought it turned out pretty good. Wasn't super hard to do, and it made a big difference in the way that Goose looks. Well, at least I think it made a big difference. So, all right, guys, don't forget to hit up the comments below if you haven't done so already, to let me know that you're here. Say hello, And if you haven't seen my t-shirt already, yeah, this is the way. For all my Star Wars fans out there that are all into the Mandalorian series, what do y'all think about the way that ended? Those of you guys that watched the Mandalorian, have you seen it yet? I'm not gonna throw any spoilers out there, but if you haven't watched the Mandalorian yet and you're into Star Wars, you're missing out, because the last episode, the season finale, woo, that was some good stuff. CG awesomeness. All right, guys, the next one on the list here, it was a big one, was the remote oil cooler. The remote oil cooler. I went ahead and originally had a remote oil cooler located underneath my fender, and that one's available through Coolrydes, but I just didn't really like that location. I had a few issues here and there where the oil cooler seemed like it was kind of bouncing up against my fender, and maybe even causing some other issues. So what I ended up doing was relocating my oil cooler to the torsion tube right off to the side of the engine in the backside. And if you guys haven't watched that video yet, it's pretty good. Custom fabrication on creating your own oil cooler, and I have all kind of plans to make one yourself if you're interested in the Facebook group in the files location. If you want more information on that, hop on over to the Facebook group, join up, and just hit on the files, and you can kind of see how that was made. Really cool, and I haven't had any issues with that since. No leaking, which is super great. I did have some reservations about the 90 degree that I had put in there, and whether or not that would cause any kind of oil pressure issues, which it hasn't. It's ran great. If there's one thing, what brand of pressure regulator do I use? It's what the heck is it? It's starts with an M. You would ask me that. My phone is recording me right now, so I can't look at it. It's the Overbring is another couple of series to fill in the. Oh yeah, the fuel pressure is I'm gonna say it wrong. It's Italian. Oh, it's MA something or other. I'll put it in the comments below, guys. It's Massarini, I don't know. That's the answer. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But it works great. I've had no problems with that fuel pressure regulator. And I have had no problems with the gauge either, which I was kind of surprised because the fuel pressure gauge that I picked up off of Amazon wasn't very expensive. So I was kind of like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'll just replace it. And it's worked out great. I've had no leaking. I did have to go and put a little blue Loctite on the back screws on the back side because I was kind of concerned it might vibrate and shake those loose a little bit. So I did do that before I put it all together. But that is in the video that I did on it. So. But yes, I didn't. There are those other fuel pressure regulators out there, like the chrome jobs you can pick up pretty cheap from like CIP1 or JBugs. Like you guys know which one I'm talking about, right? That you can turn the little top side dial. Those are the worst. Don't buy those ones because those leak and they're never right. The pressure that they read out of them are never right. So don't buy that. Spend a little bit of money on getting a fuel pressure regulator that's a little better because that one's no good. And I got mine off. That's it. You got it. That's the one. MALPASSI. That's the regulator that I have. Good job. I knew that you guys would be able to help me out there. Don't forget, guys, to hit the like off to the side. Provide some comments down below. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's beautiful here. Today in Houston, it's gorgeous outside. It's actually really good cruise weather. Hoping the shows come back, too. In 2021, I'm really looking forward to some car shows coming. But let's get back on track, guys. Let's talk about the. This is my first transition. Bad brakes. The bad brakes, guys. The bad brakes. As you can see from the photo I just put up, and hopefully you guys can still hear the audio. It looks like it's still coming across. Make sure you give me a audio is good or bad off into the side that you guys can still hear it. Audio, yes or no? Yes or no? I'm using a new program here that allows me to transition some slides over to you guys while we're doing this live stream. So just to make it a little bit more fun and visually stimulating. So the bad brakes, the install went great, super easy. This, of course, when you're doing a disc brake conversion to the front or the rear of your Volkswagen, adds a lot of capability when it comes to stopping. And that was the big deal for me. Because I was still rolling on my drum brakes when I put the big engine in there. The 2276cc Monster, the General, that's in the back of Goose. Yeah, the power that the General makes definitely required some disc brakes. So I went ahead and I was looking at all the different options, and let's go ahead and transition back to the Vids 1 here. And if you look at the center, the very center photo on here, you guys can see that I was doing all kinds of different ideas and options. This is Coolryde's disc brakes kit here, and then there's this one over here off to the right is the CB Performance kit, and then there was I think this was the MP kit off to the left side, and then there was the Bad Brakes kit that I went back to. And now I ended up going with the Bad Brakes kit on the install for Goose because, well, I got a great deal. A buddy of mine had one that this kit, and he had not installed it, so I got a great deal from him. But it was also a kit that I was looking at. It's not cheap. It's definitely pricey, but one of the cool parts is that the center hub on here, if I ever change my bolt pattern, if I decide to go with a different bolt pattern, say like if I wanted to run some Porsche wheels or something, it's not that big of a deal to swap out that center hub there and still keep your disc brake assembly. And that was kind of a good selling point that I liked about that, was that I could do that. Now the next photo you guys are going to see here is the actual install. You can see that it's that Bad Brakes installed here on Goose, and this is before I narrowed the beam. And if you look close here at the actual torsion tubes and the torsion arms coming off of there, there's a little bit of extra material there because this is a 2-inch narrowed beam before I cut those off, and I went ahead and narrowed the beam. So coming back to you guys, it was great. I love doing the conversion on the disc brakes, but there was one thing that I learned, and I learned the hard way, and I kind of jacked up my rotors because I was just impatient and didn't read directions very well. Not that us mechanical people ever not read directions, because I can figure it out, right? Well, there's a process of bedding the brakes that you have to do with almost all disc brakes when you install them, which I didn't know this was even a thing. And I was a mechanic in the military for a while, and I never heard of bedding brakes before, but there is a pretty involved process of bedding the brakes whenever you do a disc brake conversion, and especially when it comes to the Bad Brakes from AirKewld. So I figured that out. I probably need to pick up some new rotors eventually. They do squeak a little bit whenever I'm driving around for a long duration of time, and I put some good heat to them. So there is that. So bedding the brakes, that was something I learned about that. Definitely a lessons learned on disc brakes. Make sure you read the directions. All right, guys, moving on to the narrowed beam. I went ahead and we did a video on narrowing the beam because, well, for one, if I didn't have to buy another beam, if I could go ahead and just chop these pieces off here, and that was kind of my plan, and what I thought I would be able to do was to go ahead and just take my beam here. You can see, cut the ends off, but I had to pull the bearings out first. There's needle bearings inside of the beam that I had, and this is just any MP 2-inch narrowed beam. This is just an MP 2-inch narrowed beam that I got off of CIP1, and it's got the needle bearings in there, so you had to pull those out. And then I went ahead and cut off the end flush and went ahead and reamed it out far enough to be able to put those needle bearings right back inside. So if you're curious about how to narrow your beam this way, this is just the way I did it. If you're curious about how to narrow your beam this way, go ahead and check out the video, guys, because it saved me a bit of money. Plus, I was able to pick up some tools too. And if you're ever looking for, a reason to pick up tools, there's one for you right there. You can see the after here on the how much closer things got moved to the in on the beam. And the reason why I narrowed the beam, guys, is because I didn't know that the offset would change the way that it did with the adding of the disc brakes. I thought that maybe my 2-inch narrowed beam would be enough to cover the offset of the disc brakes, but there's 3/4 of an inch that was added offset on both sides, so almost an inch of offset that was added when I added the disc brakes. And most disc brake kits that you're looking at out there for the front end on your VW is going to add offset. So that's why I had to go ahead and narrow it, and this seemed like a good option, and it worked out pretty good. So check out the video if you're interested. Details on the reamer and all the other kind of stuff I use for that are in the description below on that. And I remind you guys again, don't forget to, yes, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. From Greece. Thanks for joining the live feed today, buddy. Don't forget to comment below if you guys are hearing everything okay, and hit the like off to the side there. It'll help out with the video getting pushed out to everybody else. So, thanks, guys. 2021. Are you guys feeling kind of relieved that 2021 is here? Relieved that there's potential of things getting back to some sort of normalcy, I hope. I said earlier in the live feed that I'm hoping that the car shows start happening pretty soon. There's supposed to be a car show happening in March in this area that I'd really like to go to. So I'm hoping that things are better so that can happen. So, yeah. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's a beautiful day here in Houston today. And finish up this live stream here in a little bit. And we go out and probably work on my kiddo's car a little bit. We added a lift onto his Jeep. And we did a whole stereo install. If you're part of the Facebook group or the Instagram, you've seen some of the work I've been doing on his car over the holidays, and that's why videos haven't been really coming out. It's the holidays. We spend time with my family. This is the way. All right, guys, moving on to the Kafer bar. All right, good stuff. Did I have any? I don't think I put the Kafer on here, but it is in the vid 1 here, the Kafer bar. Let me see if you guys are going to see this. There we go. This is the 6-point Kafer bar that is offered by Coolryde Customs. I did a video on this on the install, and I did the install a little bit differently, and part of that you can see right here on the this first tab up at the top. There's 2 screws in there, so I changed that a little bit. I went and added some welding to some of the brackets on here just because, you know, I just like any excuse to weld something. So I did that. And the reason it's 6 points is because it hits 3 different points on the chassis on both sides to give you the 6 points. Plus it hits the 3 points up at the top. So I couldn't find any other Kafer bar out there. And this is the one that I saw that Glenn from Duckman Cycles and VW Garage installed on his. So I was like, that looks pretty cool. And I liked the red. So I went ahead and installed that, and we did that for Goose because it helps out with power. It also allows you to do some adjustment when it comes to camber on your alignment. So that was kind of nice. We did add something a little bit later on we're going to talk about that allows you to adjust toe a little bit. So that was cool too. And when you have added power and you're driving a little bit crazy sometimes, okay, crazy a lot of times, the Kafer bar definitely will help out when it comes to stability in the rear end and keeping the power going to the ground and not so much getting caught up into your transmission. So that's cool. All right, guys. Oh yeah, when I did the Kafer bar install, I also did that Mendola mid-trans mount that kind of goes up to the front of the nose on the transmission, and I saw a noticeable difference right away when it comes to when you got a hard pull or you're doing a hard takeoff, or I don't know, just putting a lot of work on your transmission, you'll feel some of the flex in your nose, and you don't really realize it until you put something like that trans support in there. And it wasn't very expensive, and it made a huge difference in the way that the power gets to the road versus the power getting kind of like absorbed by your transmission. So, hey Rich, what's going on, man? Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Happy 2021, guys. Happy 2021. So, that was also offered by Coolryde Customs, that Mendola mid-mount transmission. So, check it out, guys. It's if you're looking for like something that's not super expensive to do, that does make a difference in the way your power transfers to the ground. Something easy to pick up and install. Definitely like a couple hours. Not doesn't take very long to do it all. All right, let's go to, let's see, what's the next thing? The next video we'll talk about. Oh, the top 5 reasons your VW is overheating. That was a fun one. That was a fun one to do. And we'll go back to the vid screen here, the very first one. And let's see if we can bring this to the front. Bring this to the front. Order. Move up. This is like the first one I put on, so this is probably going to be like... gonna take a second to bring it up out here. But I'm getting used to this new program, guys, and being able to share some of this stuff with you guys live. But top 5 reasons your VW is overheating. And this is the one that you actually watch when you visit my channel. So when you first log in as a new subscriber, or if you're not a subscriber yet, either one of those, this is the video that you get to watch kind of like in the preview. And I went to drive around Kemah in this area where I live down here in Houston, and talked about some of the things that you need to look at when it comes to your Volkswagen, whether it is your oil, whether it's your tin, the seals that you have installed, your belt tension, tightness, the way your tune is on your VW. There's so many different things that affect the way that your temperature goes up or down on your Volkswagen. And one of the things that I didn't really talk about when it came to the install on my remote oil cooler was I don't have a bypass in there right now. And that's something that I've been seeing more and more as the weather's gotten colder. That is something I'm going to be looking to do. And it'll be one of the videos that I'm going to be doing here in 2021 is installing a oil thermostat. So it'll allow the oil to bypass the remote oil cooler until the engine gets up to operating temperature. And that's a big deal whenever you have a Volkswagen, because if the oil doesn't reach operating temperature, then you could have issues when it comes to your bearings, premature wear. So you want to make sure that your vehicle, your engine, is heating up the way it's supposed to be heating up. So we're going to be adding a thermostatic bypass to bypass the oil cooler until we get up to around that 180 degrees, and then allow that oil to go to the actual remote oil cooler. During the summertime down here, that's not a big deal because it gets up to temperature pretty quick. But when it gets cooler out, you still want to be able to get it up to operating temperature faster and not have to sit outside waiting for your vehicle to warm up. So, Happy New Year. Hey, what's going on, Bronx? Represent New York. What? If you guys didn't know, I was born in upstate New York, Syracuse. It's definitely not the Bronx, but New York born. What's up? What's going on, guys? Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year, New York. Northeast. You guys are getting it. You guys are getting some weather up there. Woo! I get goosebumps thinking about how cold it is up there. My grandparents live in Central Square, upstate New York. And, man, they've been getting beat up with some snow this year. All right, guys. Moving on to the next video. The custom gauge cluster. Man, I have had more interest in this gauge cluster than most other videos. It's kind of surprising that... so many of you guys want me to make you one. That's pretty cool. Do me a favor, guys. As I transition through these slides, I want to make sure that you can still hear the audio. Audio, yes. Audio, no. Are you guys hearing me all right? Good to go? Good to go. Can you still hear the audio? Well, one of the cool things and one of the things that I like to do is think of things that are easy for people to install. Not such a pain in the butt or super difficult to do. The main cost for this install, the gauge cluster, honestly, was the gauges. I picked up some ISP gauges, a oil temperature gauge from ISP. All right, cool. Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it, man. Chris, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. The actual oil temperature gauge works out great. I usually stay right around 180 unless I'm killing it on the freeway, doing 75, 80 miles an hour and maintaining that speed. Then I kind of move up to about 200 degrees. So I loved that. And then I wanted a tech. I wanted to have a tech because it's just super important to me. So what I did is I got some pieces that I found, the actual clamp that goes around the column, the column of the steering column allowed me to put the gauge cluster on here and not have to put holes in my dash. And that was really what I was trying to avoid. I did not want to put any holes in the dash. I did put a hole, and then those of you guys that saw me do the install for the fuel gauge, the fuel gauge there, I'm sure that some of you guys were having a hard time. I was having a hard time putting the hole in there, but sometimes the sacrifice is worth it. But I did not want to put holes in my dash for the gauges, so I was trying to come up with something that would work out, and something that would allow me to have the gauges where I could still see them, because you'll see sometimes there's a under dash mount gauges, and I didn't like the idea of having the gauges down low to where I'd have to look down at them. I wanted to be able to see the gauges up close and personal, so that I could, use them as I'm driving, and it made more sense to have them located right off the column near the speedometer, because it just made sense to me. So I went ahead and welded a couple of those pods together and added the gauges in and then wired it all up. And check out the video, guys, if you're interested in that, because all the details are there. The only thing that would probably be difficult for you to do like at home is maybe weld the two pods together, but I'm sure it wouldn't be that difficult to find somebody to do it for you. Like if there's a local welding shop, all it was like one weld to hold those two pods together, and then there's no like holes. There's no extra steps you have to take. Just mount it to the column, and then you've got some gauges. So check out the video, guys, if you've been curious about something like that. And I'd love to see some photos of you guys doing your own custom install. So jump on over to the Facebook group and join up and show me what you guys are doing in your cars. Even if that means you're just sitting in your car. Sitting in your car on the box, the soap box, you guys know what I'm talking about, or the crate, whatever you got in there, or some piece of wood, and just imagining the day that you can drive it down the road. Because anybody that's owned a classic car, Volkswagen, whatever it is, knows what it's like to have that your beauty sitting there underneath the tarp, and you go out there and you have those moments where you pretend you're driving her around. So send me some photos of what you got. Send me some photos of your projects. I'm super curious, man. Let's get some of that community involvement going on in the Facebook group, guys. All right. After the gauge cluster, we did a video on how to theft-proof your VW. Now, in all honesty, if somebody wants to steal your VW, let's knock on some wood. Let's. Hopefully this never happens, because it's every time I see it in the Facebook groups, it like rips my heart out when somebody's lost their car, and it sucks. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of like make it harder, I would say, for someone to steal your VW. Now, there was a couple of pedal disablements, which I really kind of like the idea of that, where you can put a lock in on your pedal or your pedal cluster and lock out your clutch and your brake pedal so that they can't operate those two. But honestly, if somebody wants to drag it up onto a tow truck or something, it could still happen. I also think that a great option, and I don't think I covered this too much, or I didn't cover this in this video, was having a GPS. Now, there's a bunch of different options out there, and I have covered this in one of my other videos, of having a GPS set up inside of your car somewhere, hidden, to where... There goes one of my kids, right by in the video shop. Hidden somewhere in your car, so that if anybody does, kind of like LoJack, if somebody does steal your car, you've got GPS on it, and you can at least call the police, or get some buddies with some pitchforks and go after them. So there's always that option. So yeah, we did the theft proof your VW. That was a good one. And then we went on to the top 5 websites for your VW. And there were so many, guys. There were so many comments on different websites that are out there. And the top 5 that I went over were kind of the ones that I use on the regular. So hit me up in the comments right now, guys. Which is the website you most often use? For me, I would say, honestly, it's probably CIP1. CIP1, or, of course, the Samba. That's not how you spell Samba. The Samba. Put some comments out there with the websites that you guys use, because anybody that's joining this stream or anybody that is going to watch it later on is probably going to want to check it out. Check out those comments. Comment below in the video. Not just comments off to the side in the chat, but comment down in the video on what websites you like to use for sourcing parts. It's really hard right now to find websites or find companies that are not having problems with shipping stuff. And I haven't had any delays or any issues using CIP1. I know that I've heard some people having issues with other websites. So comment below on who you use and who you're not having any problems with when it comes to shipping. And if they offer free shipping, don't forget to comment that as well, because we're always looking to save money, guys. Right? So comment below. Yeah, Caddyshack. Caddyshack is great, man. They have a great website too, or they have great videos on YouTube as well when it comes to being able to work on your VW. So shout out to Caddyshack. You guys are doing great stuff over there. All right, let's see. Oh, and then there was my clickbait video. Or from what I heard from good old Mike, I got a couple of them. Shout out to good old Mike. I got a couple of those clickbait videos out there, and this one was about my driveline failure, where I ended up killing one of my drum brakes. Didn't even know that was a thing. I had no idea that you could kill your drum brakes, but you can, because you got to put a lot of torque on those back axle nuts. And I need a drink of water. Well, you got to put a lot of torque on your back axle nuts, and I did. I torqued them to the torque that's recommended in the book. When you have a 40 horsepower engine or a 36 horsepower engine, that torque is probably fine. But when you have a horsepower engine that is definitely more, that's definitely more than that 36 or 40 horsepower, you're going to want to add a little bit more torque. And right now I got it torqued down to about 310, 320. So definitely more than what it was. So I don't have that problem anymore. But what happened with the driveline is I was out for one of my cruises that I go on at night to the gas station to get some of that ethanol-free gas. If you can find a gas station with ethanol-free gas, your VW is going to run so much better. My VW is so much more happier with the ethanol-free gas. I can see the difference immediately. So, Caddyshack does carb rebuilds too? I've seen a couple of different places that do carb rebuilds. I know that VW Life guys, they did talk about somebody that does carburetor rebuilds. And yeah, I'll see if I can find out who that was that they were talking about and put it in the comment below. But yeah, that's cool that Caddyshack does carb rebuilds. Good information. Now, what was I talking about? I lost my train. Oh, the driveline. So yeah, I ended up killing a drum brake, which thank God. I was like, I have a Rancho transmission, an upgraded Freeway Flyer Rancho transmission. It's a Pro Street model. And I was like, man, I can't believe I killed this transmission. I didn't kill the transmission. I killed the drum on the back of my VW. So it just sounded awful. I rolled into the gas station, and my drive line and my drive shaft was just chewing up what was left of that drum brake. And it sounded like I had some catastrophic failure inside of my transmission. And I was just like, oh. Well, at least I made it to the gas station. And I wasn't out in the middle of nowhere when this happened. So you got me to the gas station, babe. But I was so worried. But when I got her home, I did discover that it was just a drum, so that was not a big deal. I had a buddy of mine that had a couple of spare drums that he just gave me, so that was fantastic. VW community, always taking care of each other, man. Always taking care of each other. If you got friends you can help out, if there's anything that, well, for me anyway, if I have stuff lying around that I'm not using and you're in the local area, it's yours. That's how I feel about it. If I'm not using it, you can have it. I'm not looking to make any money off of that. It's just we take care of each other, because it's expensive taking care of our VWs, and whenever you can help somebody out, that's kind of how it goes, you know. And then when you need help, they help you out, and that's just goes back and forth, right? Yeah. Any plans to add rear disc brake conversion kit? Well, of course, there's going to be rear disc brakes at some point. I have to have justification first, so That's coming a little bit later, Rich. We talk about the upgrades coming to Goose in 2021. Hopefully, we'll see. There's lots of plans happening. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I change my mind all the time. So, but yes, disc brakes for sure. For sure, disc brakes. All right, guys, we covered the theft proof in your VW, cool top 5 websites, driveline failure, and then we did a video all about Goose, where I'm always getting questions about Goose's interior, the ride height, what type of engine I have, what type of wiring harness did I install. So we kind of went through a little bit of everything with the All About Goose video, and I'm sure I'll put out another one this year because more things are going to change and there's going to be some additions. And there was some additions. There's things that have changed since I did that video. So, yeah, more to come on Goose. And, yeah, for sure going to happen. So, after all those videos came in, I decided, you know what? I wanted to do an engine rebuild series. And it's the one that I'm currently in the middle of. We have 4 videos out so far on rebuilding your 40 horsepower engine. And I wanted to go through kind of all the steps that I hadn't seen anybody else really do in a series together and shoot it in 4K for you guys because I like to be able to show the up close nitty gritty details of the VW engine while it's being rebuilt because I like feeling like I'm there. And when you watch a video and you feel like you're there and you can see all the little stuff, all the little details that get left out sometimes in these build series, or they're just so hard to find, like hard to find a build series that kind of goes from A to Z completely. And that's the whole point of the 40 horsepower build, is to give you that A to Z. Now, right now, where I'm at with the build is was doing the dry fit, the dry fit of the case halves together, and kind of feeling how it was with the spinning of the crank. And that's one of the tests that you do, is you want to kind of be able to make sure you can wing that crank around and that everything moves freely and you don't have any kind of binding. Well, what happened is, that's almost great story start, right? You see, what happened is, I was turning my crank slowly. And as I was slowly moving the crank, I could feel it kind of catching. Like there was some resistance where there shouldn't be resistance. And as I spun it quick, it wasn't there. And you could kind of mess with the end play a little bit. And at different points, depending on where I had the crank, there was some resistance that I didn't like. So I went ahead, and to make a long story short, I went ahead and took the case off, and had it line bored. So now it's been line bored over 20. And I've got to go back through and pull all my bearings off of the crank and redo all the oil gallery stuff that you guys already seen in some of the other videos and get it to the point to where I'm ready to put it together. And that's where we're going to start. The next video that I put out will be on going ahead and joining the case halves together. And then we'll be moving on to the pistons and cylinders. We'll be talking about some of the specs when it comes to clocking your piston rings, the kind of deck height you want to be looking for when it comes to your 40 horsepower engine. Cleaning up your single port heads and maybe doing a little mild porting on those heads. Talking about the solid rocker shafts and then finishing up the long block assembly before we start the rest of the build. So there's going to be quite a few videos still coming, guys. I'm not in any kind of rush to put this out in a one-shot video. Maybe at the end I'll do one video where it's just like a time lapse of everything that's happening at once. But right now I just want to make sure I take my time and show you guys all the details when it comes to the build, or the things that I think are kind of important when it comes to the build. So, let's see. With all of what you put into Goose, what do you think she's worth? What do I think Goose is worth? That's like isn't that like a MasterCard commercial? Priceless. Oh, man. I don't know, because what really comes into play on a car, it isn't really the parts and what the parts cost. It's the time and the the time and the effort that you put into it. I think really adds the value to your VW, right? And that's why they or whatever car you're working on. That's what really adds the meaning to it. Because it could be the biggest, shit box piece of crap car in the world. But damn it, that's your biggest piece of shit box crap car in the world, and you love it. And I've had VWs that would never run right, man. They always seem to have issues. And I still love that car because of the time I spent with it. That's the same thing with Goose. Like, there's no price tag I could put on Goose. And I've had offers. People make offers. I'm sure you guys have had them too, where people offer you probably more money than the car's worth. But I would never sell her. I just wouldn't do it. There'll probably be cars down the road that I will sell, but I'm never selling her. So, what's she worth? To me, she's priceless. To somebody else, I'm sure there's some sort of price tag, but to me, she's not for sale. there's no dollar sign attached to Goose. So, let's see what else we got going on here. I like to stay light on the valve rides. Oh, yeah. It's true, Chris, right? You want to keep things... What is it, sleeper? Is what people want to say about your VW? It's faster than a stock, but it's probably not as fast. Like, there's some people out there that are pushing crazy horsepower through their VWs, and you know they are. There's a lot of guys that go out to the drag strips, but yeah, that kind of power is fun, but, you know, is it reliable? And right now with Goose, the way that she is, the way that she's built, I love having that reliable power, that reliable drive, where I can just go down. She starts up every time. I go down, start up, go for a drive, go for a cruise. When you start jumping into EFI and turbos, and I'm sure that you can get to a point where you have a combination that's really reliable, but it's just not the same. It's not the same as a naturally aspirated engine, so that's where I get torn back and forth between EFI and the carburetors, because, man, I killed myself. To get those carburetors synced in right, running right, everything purring the way she does, because she'll sit there and she just runs so good. And it took a lot of work to get it to that point, so I'm a little hesitant to jack with that. And I'm sure that Goose would probably make me pay for it too. You know, like anytime you do an upgrade or change, so this is the way I think anyway, anytime you do an upgrade or change, there's going to be some payment of blood to the gods of VW when it comes to that. You're gonna you're gonna have to earn it. You're gonna have to earn that change. So, yeah, it's like what asking your children are worth. That's true, Rich. Priceless, priceless. It's I was talking to my kids the other day. I'm looking at buying a house this year, and I was talking to one of my kids about. Wouldn't it be really cool if my garage was like part of the living room and I could just drive my baby right in there and it was just like part of the furniture? And my oldest was like, "You would never do that, Dad." And I was like, "Well, I don't think you know me very well." I would definitely do that. All right, guys. Getting back onto it, we did the Bluetooth speaker box. That was one of like a fan favorites. People have been asking about that forever, about what I was going to do with the luggage. That was in the back of Goose, and I ended up building a Bluetooth speaker box, which I love it. That battery pack that I bought for that thing, that's made for like CCTV cameras and for remote locations or whatever, that battery pack is still at full charge, and I have run that thing a lot, so that's saying something. So yeah, the Bluetooth speaker box, check out that video, guys, if you're interested in making your own Bluetooth speaker box. In the description below. It's not there right now. I'm gonna have to go in there and update the description of the video and add some of this in there, but it will be. Check back in about by the end of the day. I still gotta go to the gym. I still gotta work on kiddo's car a little bit, so there's still things to happen today, but yeah, it's coming. All right. And the last video that I did in 2020, and it's been up for a little bit now, is the adjustable spring plates offered by Kinetic, their Atomwerks line. This was my first video that I did where I was actually sponsored to do the video. And complete transparency, I got the spring plates for free. I got the spring plates as payment for the actual video. And the big part of that was to do a fair review. to do a fair review and what I really thought. And I love them. I love the spring plates. I've got no issues with them so far. The review, the later review that's going to be coming out will be one of those prolonged reviews after I've put some miles on it, you know, gone to a few shows and really worked them. And then I'll come out and let you guys know what I think about how they handle, like, flex-wise, you know, kind of take it apart, look and see if there's any wear and tear in places that probably shouldn't be. But so far, they're awesome. And the big part of what the spring plates do is they restore the stock feel of your suspension. And that's exactly what they've done. I was able to get more of the bounce back or the stability and strength of the rear end, and in combination with my Kafer bar and the Mendola mid-trans support in the back, man, I could probably power slide Goose through a few pairs of tires. and she just handles it, man. She loves it. So yeah, definitely recommend that. If you're interested, check out the description below. I will add that later on getting a pair for yourself. There's lots of options too, guys. So don't think that you need to jump into the primo awesome spend, you know, $1,200 on spring plates kit, because there's other options offered by Kinetic when it comes to their Atomwerks line. So check it out. There's probably options there for you. And let's see what we got. Joe! What's going on, Joe? Oh, man. It was a good Christmas. It's a good New Year. I'm looking forward to 2021 and getting out to the shows and spending some time with people. And the good thing about here in Kemah is we always have a car show on Saturdays at the Home Depot, and it's still been kind of going on even through all of this craziness, and that's been nice. But hopefully in 2021 we get back on some sort of normalcy when it comes to car shows, because that's where we get to come out and talk to each other and talk about VWs and show off our cars and just have a good time. And well, guys, if you've got any questions, that's really gonna do it. That's we did a lot in 2020 when it comes to videos. Been on YouTube now for 2 years. I can't even believe I've been on 2 years last month. 2 years I've been on YouTube. We're over 3,000 subscribers, and that's because of you guys. You know, you enjoy the content. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy the community that we have in the Facebook group, that we all help each other out. There's no Debbie Downers. There's no keyboard warriors allowed in the Facebook group. So if there's anybody out there just wanting to give each other crap, you're going to have to go somewhere else to do it, because we take care of each other here at JWClassicVW. I'm not a fan of people that, I don't know, talk down on other people. You know, you got a question. We all start somewhere. We all start learning about VWs at some point, or learning about cars at some point. So if you join the group, if you're part of this community, I don't care if you got a stupid question about fuse sizes, or you got a question about the type of oil to put in your VW. Ask the questions, guys, because that's what we're here for. Help you out, answer questions, and we're not going to give you too much crap about it. We might have a little fun, a couple jokes here and there, but it's all in good fun. And that's what it's about, right? Having fun, enjoying our VWs, take care of each other. So, have a great 2021, guys. New Year's here. I'm stoked. It's beautiful outside. Thanks for joining the live stream. That's all I really have for today, guys. I will see you guys very soon on the next video. Don't forget to hop on over to the Facebook group or my Instagram. Join up, because whenever you don't see what's going on in the background in the videos, normally it's on there. See you guys soon. This is Jason from JWClassicVW, and let's wrap up this live stream. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.